Alright guys, I have a question. Have you ever thought about actually being stuck in the Fortnite loop? If everything was peaceful and you didn't have to fight each other, or even if you want to go that route and you wanted to say like, you have to survive, where in Fortnite, at a chapter 1 to chapter 6, doesn't matter, no matter what location, where would you choose to live? Today, I have chosen a bunch of places for Fortnite YouTubers to live in. We're going to go through them today. I'm going to explain my reasoning. As always, guys, I would love to know what you think about it down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's get started, guys, with a big YouTuber we have over here, Tim the Tatman. Where do you think Tim the Tatman should live in Fortnite? Well, I ended up choosing back in chapter 2 Gorgeous Gorge because of course we all know that Tim the Tatman does enjoy his fall damage, and what caused more fall damage in chapter 2? Of course, this beautiful waterfall over here. He'd be jumping off that waterfall just for fun, and then it would be forced to end up slamming his dome off some wood over there. And don't worry, we have many more YouTubers to take a look at. By the way, guys, if you have not hit like on the video yet, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. Let's continue on to the next YouTuber, PlayStation Grenade. Have you ever watched PlayStation Grenade's videos back in the day when he was covering the Fortnite storyline really in depth? Well, there was one more place that I personally thought PlayStation Grenade would love to live more than any other place ever. That being Hut Watch, of course. Where else would PlayStation Grenade like to live? Of course, the place that he has taken the most and paid the most attention to throughout the entirety of Chapter 1. I would expect no less from PlayStation Grenade. Now, I have a little bit of an issue with this next one because I did end up choosing the agency for this next Fortnite YouTuber, but I did not realize that I used a picture of the agency blown up. But you know what? We'll work with it. It's a little unfortunate. Now, our friend of the channel, Tater over here, is living over in the agency, but you might be thinking to yourself, why not Cyan, the guy who loves Midas so much? Well, next up, we have a little bit of a storyline with this one because Cyan is not at the agency. He was at the agency. He spent a lot of time living there, right? Of course, he wants to be very close to Midas. Midas is his favorite Fortnite character. He loves Midas. So, when Midas took off, so did Cyan. He's out of here. Cyan is no longer on any of the Fortnite islands, and Cyan is sailing off happily with Midas on the boat. You could talk about the Underworld too. That's also an acceptable answer for where Cyan would like to live. But of course, because we know Cyan and Tater are pretty good friends, they were happy together over in the agency. They were all hanging out with Midas. They had a nice seat at the desk. And once Cyan heard that Midas was taken off, he just left Tater. So now Tater is left with a completely ruined, blown up agency. Very sad by Cyan. But guys, let's not talk about that anymore and continue on to, I was about to say something happy, but I forgot that this was the next one, okay? Where do you guys think that iTalk would live out of every single Fortnite location in history? Well, I ended up choosing a sideways bubble because iTalk is stuck in Chapter 2, Season 8, where his account is, and this is definitely where he would go if he could choose to live in a Fortnite area. But the problem is, he spent too much time in Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 8, and now he's stuck in a sideways bubble forever because he didn't go for any weapons. He went back for the account. Let's continue on over to the next person, Dagwummy. Where do you guys think Dagwummy would choose to live on the Fortnite island? Of course, it would not be on a chapter island. There is no other place for Dagwummy to live other than Minigame Box PvP, the arguable best creative map there is out there. Minigame Box PvP, there is no other place that Dagwummy would spend. But as you guys know, if you are familiar with Fortnite content at all, Fortnite content creators, you know that Dagwummy and Aquash are fairly close, right? So there was a point where Dagwummy and Aquash were strolling through the Fortnite storyline together, strolling through the Fortnite island, hanging out in the loop. But once Dagwummy found success in Minigame Box PvP, he ended up leaving Aquash down in Reality Falls, where reality hit Aquash, and he is no longer spending his Fortnite experience with Dagwummy. So he's stuck strolling alone over in Reality Falls, where reality must hit him square in the face. Let's switch up tunes a little bit, guys, though, over to a little bit more of an upbeat one. Where do you guys think that Ninja would want to live? Ninja, one of the OGs of Fortnite. Maybe you'd be thinking a little bit towards Chapter 1, right? But you're wrong in saying that, because out of everywhere that you could choose in Fortnite history, there is no other correct choice for Ninja other than the Nitrodrome. He loved Chapter 5, Season 3 so much. Fortnite Wrecked was the greatest season in Ninja's opinion over here. He is a 33-year-old grown man who likes to drive cars, and that's why there is no other place for Ninja than somewhere on the Wrecked map. But why not choose the most iconic location of Fortnite Wrecked? Let's continue on to the next YouTuber, guys. Where do you think that Clark Clint Gaming would like to live, right? Now, unfortunately, we have a little bit of a sad story with Clark because once upon a time, Clark just chose to live back in Chapter 1. He was hanging out in the disco place, back in the factories. This was his main building. We all know Clark loves to dance. But then, mean man Cyan came into the picture. And we all know, if you guys have been following Cyan and been watching the streams, you would know that Cyan actually is responsible for taking Clark away from his home, and he sent him over to the 6th reality. Not just any of the 5 realities. Clark is living alone in the 6th reality that Cyan has sent him to. Clark needs some saving. He is so far away from everybody living on the Fortnite island, and quite frankly, it's very sad and very disgusting of Cyan, by the way. But speaking of people who aren't disgusting, let's talk about Twisty Chase. Out of everywhere on the Fortnite island, where do you guys think that Twisty Chase would like to hang out? And of course, we chose the Daily Bugle. It is a very, very simple answer because Twisty Chase is not only a Marvel fan, but a very, very big Spider-Man fan. That's pretty well the entire story about Twisty Chase, one that isn't filled with controversy, one that Cyan hasn't infected. But let's talk a little bit more about controversy. Loot Station. He's been in his fair share of controversy recently. Where do you guys think Loot Station would end up? You might be thinking somewhere maybe like Chapter 2, Season 2, maybe Chapter 6, Season 1, where Godzilla is. No, Loot Station would live in Chapter 2, Season 4, Stark Industries, because of course, he's gonna get copyright strike. Loot Station seemed to be a fiend for more, so Loot Station wanted to use an IP that didn't exactly belong to him. He gave Iron Man that big boot. He was like, yo, Iron Man, hey, Tony, I know you're rich, you're a billionaire, you have the great suit and everything, but are you level 1000 in Fortnite? Tony, you can't get XP like I can. Snap, 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 out of here, Iron Man. Stark Industries is mine now, and then Loot Station would have gotten copyright strikes. So, let's talk about Jakey, guys. Arguably, one of the most wholesome people in this community, one of the most friendly people in this community. I've had nothing but pleasant interactions with Jakey, so I wanted to choose a very nice, wholesome, pleasant location for Jakey. Jakey would keep to himself. He'd be great over in Starry Suburbs. And honestly, out of everywhere in Fortnite, I personally like to live here myself. But man, this would definitely be a place that Jakey would hang out. A great POI. You walk in with some great music. You have the little guitar hum or whatever it was, right? You know that sound bite you had whenever you entered Starry Suburbs. There's literal shooting stars. This guy would be part of that. If there could be a prime minister or president of Starry Suburbs, Jakey would probably be that guy. But let's talk about, you could go arguably the opposite way of Starry Suburbs, okay? Mr. JOI. We all know Mr. JOI, of course. He ended up having some computer issues. But what you guys might not know, okay? What you guys might not know is Mr. JOI, he's changing up the content a little bit because his PC hasn't been working. His GPU is completely fried, but that would be because he took his PC from Junk Junction. What do you expect, Mr. JOI? What do you think would happen when you pick up a PC from Junk Junction and you're streaming from over there? Of course it's not going to work, and of course you have to change up your topic. So Mr. JOI, if you guys don't know, is quite frankly already hanging out in Junk Junction. I've tried to pull him out. I don't know why he just refuses to leave, but he has a really nice desk setup in there. It's a little bit strange. But anyways, let's continue on over to Mustard Plays. Mustard Plays, very, very big YouTuber, Fortnite creative, right? He's hanging out in the Creative Hub. Where else would he be? Where else would he be? One of the biggest creative YouTubers of all time, hanging out in the Creative Hub. I think that suits him. Very, very simple. Very well said. Now, let's talk about a couple friends of the channel. So, Scenario. Scenario will be hanging out in Tomato Town. You might be asking, okay, well, wouldn't Jojo Josiah be hanging out in Tomato Town? That is honestly a very, very good question to have, and I do have the answer for you because while Scenario is hanging out just in Tomato Town by himself, Jojo Josiah used to live there, but Jojo was misbehaving, okay? Jojo ended up getting the boot from Tomato Town due to inappropriate behavior, so actually, he ended up being taken out and he's forced to sit down in the tomato tunnel. All the way to the top right of this image over here, Jojo Josiah has to wait in the tomato tunnel, and he has to make do. He's one of those guys that's sitting in a little wet puddle. He has a little bit of a car if he wants to get a little bit of shelter there, but other than that, he's one of those creatures that's just hanging out in the tunnel over there. Scenario gave him the boot. Again, inappropriate behavior in Tomato Town. Try and eat all the food, being rude to people, being toxic to people, and then people went online to Twitter and talked about what a weird guy that is. Just JoJo things. Let's continue on over to two YouTubers that I miss about Fortnite content, two YouTubers that I used to watch all the time. We don't get any more Fortnite content from them. There is a duo over in this location, that Denver guy and the Smith Plays guys. I decided to put them in the redacted bunker because, of course, while it did open up at the end of Chapter 2, I like to pretend that never happened because it was such a disappointing opening. So, There was mystery to it. Nobody could ever get back there. And that must be where these two are hiding. And maybe one day they'll come out and we can get a good storyline from that. By the way, guys, if you've been enjoying this video so far, I really appreciate you being here. And if you are a YouTuber watching this, I have talked to so many more YouTubers. I've built a relationship with so many more YouTubers. And honestly, there's a lot more Fortnite YouTubers that I watch on a daily basis. So if you're watching this video and wondering why I didn't include you, there's probably a storyline that I couldn't necessarily come up with. I thought about as many as I could, but let's talk about a new friend of the channel, Toon Spider. I decided to put Toon Spider all the way over to the ballistic map because for me personally, I wanted to keep Toon Spider over on the ballistic map because it's a little bit nostalgic. It's the first time we've ever collabed. It's the first time we've ever streamed together, and it was a Fortnite ballistic stream, and it was a great time. So I'm keeping him all the way in ballistic. He's not allowed to choose a POI. He is staying right there for my own nostalgic purposes. Let's continue on to Evolve Jake. I love Evolve Jake's channel. Now, when I think about Evolve Jake, I think about being good at Fortnite. I think about any tips and tricks. I think about practicing, right? Finding your own setting. So Evolve Jake has taken over my favorite creative map in Fortnite, and that is Finest Realistic. Evolve Jake is just hanging out over there. If you are living on the Fortnite map and you feel like giving Evolve Jake just a little bit of a visit, you'll have to duel him in Finest Realistic 2v2, 1v1. He's already in all of those. Let's continue on to where everybody else would live. Now, I decided to group a bunch of people together over for this one. So the guys over at the Worthless Opinions podcast, which is an absolute banger of a podcast, you guys should totally check it out. Now, unfortunately, before I got to these guys, I was going to come up with a single location for all of them where they could hang out, right? But the problem is, I already did Twisty Chase, and I thought that was a perfect spot for him. So we're coming up with a little storyline over here. The rest of the Worthless Opinion podcast, you can find all of them hanging out in Salty Springs. A nice POI, just living together, having a great time. We have all of these great YouTubers over here. Now, originally, they were hanging out with Twisty Chase, right? Everybody was deciding where to live, but in the meantime, where everybody was trying to travel over to the loop, Twisty Chase uploaded a tier list video. And it was a great tier list video, but here's the problem. The tier list video was 11 minutes long, and all 4 of these guys decided to comment on that video about 3 minutes after the release. So it's impossible they could have watched this, and all of them ended up commenting, "Never let bro cook again." So Twisty looked at them, was all like, "Well, you guys can go cook all by yourselves over in Salty Springs. You're not invited to my daily bugle. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna hang out with Spider-Man. I'm gonna hang out with Gwen. And by the way, I'm actually going to save Gwen for when she falls through a building. I'm gonna start a podcast called the Twisty Spider-Verse podcast with Spider-Man and Gwen. And they're gonna talk about how cool I am. They're gonna talk about how I didn't let Gwen fall to her death like a certain someone that we know, and there's a reason why a certain someone hasn't been invited into Fortnite, just like Tom Holland." So Twisty has his own thing going on over there, and the other guys are hanging out over in Salty Springs, but it's good to know that they all made up and they're all making fantastic podcasts together, which you guys should go check out, by the way. The Worthless Opinions podcast, amazing podcast, and I miss watching it. It's been a little bit since we've seen one. Anyways, let's continue on. Friend of the channel, passion for movies, but the problem is, in saying that, I believe that I have the old logo, which we have passion for gaming over here, but regardless, he's going to be hanging out all the way, roaming the Primal biome with the goddess of the 0 point, Gia. The guy's always going to be walking around with the camera, capturing whatever's going on in a phenomenal Fortnite storyline. Now, let's continue on. There are 2 brand new YouTubers that have developed quite a bit of a friendship, so I wanted to include them in the same POI. Now, Nick A30 and Arch. As you guys know, there's been a lot of love exchange between the two, so I decided to keep them 2 together. And where else would we choose to put them? Well, we ended up choosing Mount Olympus for these 2 because this is where you can find Aphrodite, the goddess of love, friendship. Everybody can come together and have a very happy ending to this entire controversy. And I gotta say, guys, things have been going smoothly, peacefully. It's a very, very wholesome experience, very family friendly, very, very amazing. Doing some nice challenges together, everybody. But speaking of some wholesome content creators, we move on to our friend Tricky. Now, Tricky, of course, is well known for making OG Fortnite content, a absolute banger of OG Fortnite being perfect. So I wanted to bring him into OG Fortnite, but what would represent OG Fortnite the best in my opinion? This is up for debate, but this is where Tricky's hanging out over in Anarchy Acres. Excuse me, I used the wrong OBS scene for that one. Tricky's hanging out down in Anarchy Acres, one of the representatives of OG Fortnite, sticking around in OG Fortnite. I thought this made perfect sense in my opinion. He's just farming, having a great time, all to himself. But unfortunately, not everybody can have a great time because now I want to move on to Courage JD. Now, Courage originally lived in Greasy Grove. Now, it's very important to note, YouTube, I am very grateful to be on your platform. I personally do not find these jokes funny, and quite frankly, they are distasteful. Not okay, right? But we all know that it's a well-known thing that Courage likes to eat. And Courage ate the entirety of Greasy Grove. Not just the food there, the buildings, and this is not what I came up with. Ask all of the YouTubers you know, ask all of the residents over in Greasy Grove. So Courage actually ended up getting into some trouble, and Courage is now residing in the prison. I feel bad for him. He's hanging out in there. He's all alone. There are no other prisoners at this moment, but Courage JD is stuck all the way over back in, hey, you know what? At least he's in a great season with the floating island. He's obviously in season X. Maybe a mech will come in and just start storming the place, just walking through, and then he'll be able to escape, and who knows? Maybe he can get a second shot at life. And now, speaking of getting second shots at life, we have somebody who got a second shot at his account. If you guys are fans of PBJ, you might know that PBJ ended up getting hacked and turned into a Tesla channel. He ended up getting his account back, which is very, very nice. But the problem is, on the way over to the Fortnite loop, PBJ got hacked again. So PBJ, unfortunately, is homeless, and he is just living in a Tesla Cybertruck, roaming the Fortnite islands, roaming the Fortnite chapters. PBJ is locked in his Cybertruck. He's got a little bit of a blanket. He's become one of those TikTokers that are just living out of their car. His content is no longer about Fortnite. And he's just making videos where it's like, this is why I chose to live in my car. This is all the tips and tricks you need to know about being homeless. And this is what PBJ has been unfortunately turned into. There's nothing wrong with people living in their car. I'm just saying that PBJ had goals. He had aspirations for his channel. And now he's stuck just seemingly roaming the Fortnite islands in his Tesla Cybertruck. I feel so bad for PBJ. Hopefully he gets his account back. Now, if you guys have been following the channel, following the streams, we have been streaming with a certain group of creators every Saturday morning, and one of those creators are our good friend Carlito's Kaizen. Now, where would Carlo choose to live out of every single POI in Fortnite? You might be thinking, this is a little bit strange. Out of all of the Fortnite POIs, why would he choose the pyramid? Well, Carlo is a big fan of the Cube Queen's thighs, and of course, with the cubes there, with all the bouncing mechanics, with all of the great grappling loot, we have the icy grappler somewhere around there. He has the best chance to shoot his shot with the Cube Queen over in this POI out of any point in Fortnite history. Now, speaking of the Cube Queen, that event was great, wasn't it? Well, if you guys haven't seen it, a long time ago, I uploaded a reaction video to the Chapter 2 finale event with the Cube Queen, and I would love to have you guys go watch that video if you're interested and have nothing better to do. It's an old video, but hey, it's timeless, one of the best events ever. I would love to have you guys over there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care.